Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today, I want to talk about everything that is not currently in console version of Wizard101. The reason why I want to bring this up is because there's been quite a few times now where I've made a guide and I've said something and I've either not realized it's not in console or forgot it's not in console, whatever, and people have asked Noah, when's this coming to console? Or this actually isn't in console. And I thought I would make this video and go over everything that is currently not in console version rather than the PC version, because if you didn't know, not only is the console version a full update behind the PC version, but also on top of that there are a lot of packs and whatnot that aren't there. Now I am going to just preface this video by saying something. I am 100% going to miss something here. There's probably hundreds of little tiny things that aren't currently in console Wiz that are in PC Wiz that I just can't think about, and if you think I'm going to be able to list all of them 100% without missing something, you're completely wrong, because I'm going to miss something. So if I miss something and it's very important, please leave it in the comments. I'll pin a comment that has anything I potentially missed. But today I'm going to go over generally what I know isn't in console version and maybe how impactful that is, because there are some pretty important things that aren't currently in console Wiz. Now another quick thing before I actually get into it, let me just say I have no idea when this stuff is coming. So if you're going to go into the comments and ask when is this update coming, when is all this stuff going to come out, I don't know. And realistically, I don't think KingsIsle really knows. I assume that they're pushing out as fast as possible. I would imagine that some of the bigger stuff are maybe a few weeks away, and then some of the smaller stuff could be anywhere from months to even next year down the line. So enough rambling. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about what's currently not in Wizard101 Console Edition. All right, this is Future Noah here, already jumping into this video, because I'm not gonna lie, when I started making this video, I had something in mind that wasn't on console, and I literally immediately forgot about it and didn't talk about it whatsoever. So I'm jumping in real fast before I get into it to say that Atavistic Gear, a level 60 gear set that was very recently added to Wiz in I believe the spring update, is also currently not in console version. Basically, Atavistic, I made a video on it 6-7 months ago or so, basically talking about it. It's an alternative to Waterworks that you can farm from different Celestia bosses. I had some people ask me hey Noah, I went and farmed the Celestia boss 10 times. Why am I not getting the Atavistic wand? It's because the Atavistic gear currently isn't in the game as far as I know. Now realistically, this doesn't even really matter that much, because I do think the Atavistic gear is kind of crappy anyway. It's good, don't get me wrong, but it's not insanely good. If you want to get level 60 gear, I would still recommend farming Waterworks and Zigzag anyway, but I feel if I didn't mention it, someone would mention it. And also the fact that, again, I did go into this video wanting to talk about Atavistic gear and then just didn't. So I don't know. Here's future me jumping in to say that. Let's get on with the video and the rest of the stuff that's not currently in console. Now the first section that I want to go over here is the most recent update. This is the summer update that was released this year in 2025 in I believe July or August, and basically everything that is in this update is not currently in console version. Now this includes two main things that I'll go over when I get there, but this is kind of where a lot of the confusion I feel comes from, because a lot of people don't really realize that this update isn't currently in the game. Now, I imagine that this update will come soon-ish. I would imagine by the end of the year. I think, again, they are one update behind PC, so I imagine once Darkmoor's out on PC, this update will come out on console shortly after, or within a month after, I would guess. Again, I'm not KingsIsle, I don't know for sure. So what is in the Ghastly Conspiracy Raid update? Now, obviously, there's the Ghastly Conspiracy Raid. For all the people that do raids, you're already going to know everything about this when it comes out. For everyone that doesn't, this is a guild thing, and you basically need to communicate with other people through Discord or whatnot, and there's zero way you can do this on console with menu chat, so I wouldn't even worry about this. Now a big one is the Aquila Chronicle content. Now a lot of people were actually confused when the console version came out, because Aquila, the most recent update that has been given in PC version, isn't actually on console yet. Now this includes a few things. This includes the new Sisyphus boss, this includes the new spells, the new challenge modes, but on top of that, it includes the pity system, which I recently talked about it in a video, I believe, and some people were asking where is it. Basically, if you defeat Zeus 35 times, you're able to craft the Zeus gear. The pity system guarantees that after 35 runs, you will be able to get all the Zeus gear. Now, 35 runs is a lot of runs on Mount Olympus. I did this one time just to get the badge, and I think it took me 20 to 30 hours. That's how insane it is. And that's with me boosting with a max level. So if you're level 30, that's rough. This also includes the new pets that a lot of people are saying are like the new meta pets because they have a sharpened and a blade. It's like the Skella Warrior pets. This is community stuff, which probably won't even be in the game for a while because most of the community stuff is kind of broken currently in console Wiz. There's more raid stuff, which I imagine people don't care about on console yet because raids are going to be nigh impossible to do unless you already are in like a guild. There's some spell changes. These aren't anything too interesting, I believe. They're just spell element changes. And then there's some Beast Moon. That's nothing to be worried about. Next, we have the recycling bin, and I actually mentioned this in a video. Basically, if you trash an item, it will go to the recycling bin. I believe it was in my tips and tricks video that I said that on PC there's the recycling bin, so you don't have to worry about item locking as much as on console you need to worry about it a bit more. Basically, if you trash an item, it can be reclaimed for 30 days. So it's basically like the equivalent of the deleted images in your phone, how it goes to the deleted images folder for 30 days until it's permanently deleted. It costs 1,000 gold to reclaim it. So if you accidentally trash a mount, you can just reclaim it. Tournaments aren't anything to be worried about. Next up, we have the user journey optimization. And this is like the biggest thing that a lot of people were very confused about wasn't on console. Basically, there are some side quests in Unicorn Way, whatever, that have been fixed. But the big one is the fact that all XP in Arc 1 has increased significantly. On July 31st, 2025, they basically added so that XP to Arc 1 will get players up to level 50 by the end of Dragonspire, even when only completing mainline quests. A lot of people were confused about this because I mentioned in my video, I was like, you can get to level 30 by the end of Marleybone, you can get to level 40 by the end of Mushu, and 50 by the end of Dragonspire. Well, that's not true yet because on the old version, how it worked is you would get to like level 28 by the end of Marleybone, you get to about level 35 to 38 at the end of Mushu, and then Dragonspire would get you up to level 43 or 44. So now people were confused. They were coming to my comments like, hey, Noah, you said that, you know, you can get up to level 50 just by the main quest. You can, but not yet. It's not going to retroactively change. So if you've already quested through Arc 1, you're not going to get the XP added to you, which isn't a big deal because of how the XP curve works. You're not going to be behind anyone. So don't worry about that. I believe there's nothing else that's really important to note here. The only thing I could potentially say is that right now, I believe, is the time to farm Aquila side bosses like Cronus for the Blade of Fell Titan and Gladiator Demacaris for the Alpha and Omega Ring, because the drop rate of those has been significantly reduced on PC. So right now is the time to farm it. If you can farm those before they change it so that the drop rate is much lower, now is the time to do that for sure. All right, for the next section of this video, let's talk about the Crownshop, because I will say that I think the Crownshop is actually where the most amount of missing items is currently from the game. Obviously, there's a few other features that I've talked about and I'm going to talk about that aren't in the game, but this is where the most items are missing. There is quite a bit missing from the Crownshop. Now, the first thing to talk about is probably packs. Now, starting off, I'm not going to go through every pack individually because there's like 10 to 15 packs not on console right now, but I'd say the biggest ones that are currently missing are right here, the Aquila Chronicle pack. I mentioned that there are those new Skella Warrior pets earlier from the new Aquila update. You also have to breed them with pets that are from this pack, so that's not currently in the game yet. And the biggest thing that I'm sure most people will notice is that currently both the Knight Spelemental pack and the Celestian Spelemental pack are not in the Crownshop. Now, what this means is that Death currently has no way to get an AoE very early in the game. You can get the jewel, you can potentially farm the gold skeleton key bosses for the spell elements, or you can even craft the spell, but you cannot get the spell elements from the packs like you normally would be able to on PC version, which means that Deer Knight and Ship of Fools are currently not accessible to the average money spending player. You can still get them from gold key bosses, but they're much later on than you'd prefer for a death. Like Ship of Fools isn't until Celestia Science Center, and also obviously Deer Knight isn't until like Avalon, and by that point you're just spamming Scarecrow anyway, so them not being able to be gotten early is a little bit of an issue. But otherwise, I don't think any of the other real packs in the Crownshop that are missing are huge. There's some of these gauntlet packs that allow you to craft a gauntlet that you can't get right now, which I think is not the biggest issue. Like, it's not like a huge issue that you can't get these gauntlets yet. I'm sure there's a few things that maybe some people would want, but for the vast majority of players, the packs being missing isn't a huge issue. In terms of everything else, there are a few mounts that aren't currently in the Crown Shop for console, and specifically there are a few mounts that you can buy for gold that aren't in the console version. There's still the broom that you could buy for 50,000, but otherwise all of these other mounts that you can buy for gold aren't currently in the Crown Shop, so you can't actually buy them in that way. There are quite a few elixirs that aren't in the Crown Shop as well. I don't think there's anything that's like hugely important that's missing, except for maybe like the fishing luck elixir I think isn't there. Otherwise, I don't think any of these elixirs are too massively beneficial to you in any way, I would say. And I think the last thing to go over is houses. Some of these houses aren't actually on the Crown Shop, like some of the houses you can buy for gold aren't in the Crown Shop on console, but I'd say that like realistically that doesn't matter too much because there are other houses you can buy for gold, so it's not like a huge deal. But I believe that some of the houses aren't there, like I think the Wisteria Villa isn't there, but I think in terms of the Crown Shop that's pretty much everything. I'm sure there's other stuff I'm missing, but those are the massively interesting things that you would normally buy that all aren't currently there on console edition. Now the next section I want to talk about is bundles. Somehow you don't know what I mean by bundles. I'm sure the vast majority of you do, and you know, have a special place in your heart for them. As a kid, you would be able to spend like $39 on a card bundle that you would be able to redeem in game that came with houses, came with certain items, whatever. None of those are currently on console Wiz. I'm not sure if they will be. I imagine if they are, they will be added to the shop feature, similarly to how the crowns and the Arc 1 pass currently are, but right now those aren't in the game whatsoever. Now I could also see potentially for the gauntlet bundles, like the ones that come with housing dungeons, you could see them in the Crown Shop, because on PC they have done that in the past where Winterbane has come to the Crown Shop or the Pagoda Gauntlet has come to the Crown Shop. You might see that in the future for like 10,000 plus crowns. Some of those gauntlets will come, which is pretty useful to have because some of those give like quite a bit of XP and give some items, whatever. They are quite useful, but none of them are currently in the game whatsoever. So if on console you want to farm Winterbane for Mega Snacks, unfortunately that is currently not an option whatsoever. All right, so the final section I want to talk about is the social section, and this is mostly the social aspects of the game, such as the Scroll of Fortune isn't exactly a social one, but it isn't currently there. Also, the kiosk in Old Town, the team up kiosk, currently doesn't really work properly. If you turn off crossplay, you can go into the kiosk, but realistically, obviously you don't want to do that because crossplay is super useful on console and 99% of people have crossplay turned on. So like you being able to be like the one person that uses the team up kiosk isn't going to be massively beneficial, but obviously that currently doesn't work. I'm sure that's going to be fixed in the near future. I imagine that's probably actually at the top of KingsIsle's list, or like in the top 5 of issues that KingsIsle wants to work on is the team up kiosk, because it is one of the most vital features of this game that currently it is kind of completely broken. On top of that, the social kiosk thing over here basically doesn't work as well. Like I believe adventure parties aren't really a thing, and I also believe that guilds aren't a thing. Don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if guilds are a thing yet, but I don't think they are. So basically a lot of the social features currently don't exist in console Wiz. On top of that, for 99% of the player base, gifting is currently disabled. Now, how gifting works is it's twofold. First off, you need to be level 30 before you can gift, and your account needs to be 30 days old. Now, obviously, the game came out on October 9th, and it's currently November 2nd, which means a week from today, gifting will be enabled for most people who started on day 1. For everyone else, you're going to have to wait until your account is 30 days old. Some people might already have gifting enabled if they played in the preview release. I'm not sure. I'm sure that some people might, if that's how that works, but for the vast majority of people, you're not going to be able to gift, and you're not going to be able to gift for another little bit, or potentially if you started like yesterday, you're not going to be able to gift for 30 days, and again, you have to be level 30. So I would say social features are currently one of the weakest things on console. I'm sure they're going to all be updated and fixed in the near future, but do keep in mind that a lot of those are currently in a state that is either broken or non-existent. Now that's going to be basically it for this video. Now again, as I said at the beginning of this video, I am sure that there are things that I didn't mention, and there's going to be things that, you know, I didn't talk about just because I either don't know about them or I didn't think that they were important enough to talk about. If you have anything that I didn't mention that you think is very important to mention, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll like pin a comment or whatever with anything that I think is very important to talk about that hasn't been added to the game. But I would say that overall I covered most of the major stuff that's currently not in console. And again, just to wrap it up, I will say, obviously, I think most of this will be added in the coming months and, you know, in the near future. I imagine they They said that console's always going to be an update behind PC, or at least it will be for a while. So I imagine that like when the Darkmoor update comes out in the next few weeks, that probably the console update will be pushed as well, with probably the spring and summer update stuff. But otherwise, I think that's it for today. If you want, you can catch me live streaming a few times a week now with my Ice Let's Play, which I did move to live for the people that didn't see that. I do think that live will be better overall in terms of, you know, how people want to watch it, whatnot. So catch me live if you want to. I will be streaming probably about 3 times a week doing my Ice Let's Play, and I think it's gonna be really fun. There's a lot of fun, you know, interactions between me and the community, whatever. So tune into that. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a fantastic day. Thank you all for watching.